Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Sooner channel, the JP and Trav show. It's your boy JP, and as always, the good man Trav. How you feeling today?
Man, entertained is how I'm feeling, man. Almost overwhelmed with all the crazy news coming out. I mean, we thought we had a bye week, and it's been the craziest week that Twitter has had to offer.
Yeah,
Thanks to the Browns, thanks to Texas, thanks to unfortunately Henry Ruggs. I mean, it's just everything's going crazy.
yeah, man, yeah, no doubt. It's been a crazy week. I was talking to Travis a little bit before, just saying, obviously we were gonna get through. You can always find the hour of content with us. I mean, we love to talk Sooner football. We would have talked about the bye week. We would have talked about the upcoming stretch. Obviously, we will talk about the college football playoff committee and what that was last night. But then you
Yeah.
get yesterday too, and like you said, Henry Ruggs and OBS and
Oh my
Swinger
gosh, yeah.
and now OBJ and Texas and the pole assassin, the monkey, and just just a mess. It's crazy.
Well, it's crazy, and about all that pole assassin stuff. A lot of us already knew that he had left his his wife and his kids behind
Yeah,
because I think um, a lot of the Texas Aggies actually were going after it pretty hard on Reddit, and so I knew about Pole Assassin. There's some people on like OU Insider or whatnot that have always used Pole Assassin as their screen name and stuff like that. But so I love that kind of a niche. Um, yeah, I am Jacob. Um, Kind of a niche like recruiting thing that like certain like college football Reddit kind of knew about to all of a sudden being like this is a national story because the monkey, what up, Monty? The monkey bit a kid,
yeah,
like and then the fact that she just tweeted through it the whole time and was just like, no, I'm going to defend myself, and I can't imagine. I would love to be on fly on a wall a lot of times this year with Texas. Um, after the OU Texas game,
yeah,
after the Arkansas game, just all kinds of actual football stuff. But man, I mean, to be on fly on the wall that evening, to see what Sark's phone looked like, to see what Jeff Banks's phone looked like. I mean, I can't imagine looking down and being like Sark calling and be like, "Hey Jeff, get your attorney on the phone because your stripper girlfriend's monkey bit a kid and she's tweeting about it." Like, could you? Those are real conversations that adults are having with each other that are in charge of football programs.
yeah,
Incredible,
yeah,
incredible. But like I said, pole assassin was kind of a thing that a lot of us kind of guys that are way too obsessed with recruiting knew about because Jeff Banks has always been one of those guys that's kind of been a bag man. You know, shocking that a guy that falls in love with strippers and leaves his wife and four kids behind would be in shady business. But
yeah,
it happens, I guess. But I've always known about Jeff Banks because of that, right? So um, for it to become national, and then for the Barstool guys to just, I mean, keep it going, talking through it, and then she didn't delete her Instagram, so now she's talking about, oh, my lawyers are gonna, this is defamation of characters and all kinds of like, oh man, it's absurd. But the
yeah,
fact that monkeys took over Twitter for a night. I mean, you could not scroll. I mean, Monty's thread was cracking me up. You had all these people that, I mean, there was Kyle Umlang throwing out friend of the show,
yeah.
Kyle Umlang.
The show.
Um, him making the UT, the Longhorn logo with the monkey on it with the horns, like, dude, it's incredible. It's incredible. And I just hope that there's some Texas beat writer that maybe it's his last day. Maybe he is going to work for A&M. Maybe he's coming to work for maybe something. Maybe he just wants to become internet famous. He's got to ask Sark in an interview. All right, so tell me about the monkey and Pole Assassin and Jeff Banks. You've he's Somebody's got to ask it. I mean, I'd say the elephant in the room, but at risk of bringing up too many animals in a conversation, I can't say elephant in the room.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
it's fascinating, no doubt. Like I said, It's a bye week. We didn't think we'd have that much to talk about. We knew the poll was coming out. We're a lot lower in the poll. What did you think about the poll, my man?
I'm not gonna lie. I was shocked. I was upset when I saw because I'm sitting there like
I know. I
Wake
got your
Forest,
text. I was like, "We good? Come in."
Wake Forest is at 9, right? And I'm just like, okay, that's a spot higher than even the AP gave them. So I'm like, okay, maybe they're not exactly following the AP, but maybe they're tracking a little bit. So I had hope, that we may be 5 or 4. Obviously I thought we should be in, but I was like, if they put us 5, maybe if they even put us 6, could I understand it? Sure. Would I agree? Maybe not. And then 8, Oklahoma comes across the screen. I look at my wife. I said, "What?" I was like, 8? Are you kidding me? And it's not the fact like I know that we'll be okay. I know if we went out, we'll be fine. But it like the reasoning didn't make sense to me because it just seems like we're not valuing wins. And again, I understand if we barely won, whatever, but like Bob said on his show yesterday or earlier today, excuse me, winning poorly is better than losing, just period at all.
Oh,
And,
of course.
and so then you look at like my biggest piece. Like I was mad that Michigan was ahead of us, but then again, like it was a close game. Whatever. Like did they lose it? Whatever. But Oregon was my biggest gripe because yeah, did they beat Ohio State? Sure, but what have they done since then? They barely beat anybody. Like they barely beat teams, just like we barely beat teams, and they lost to a 3-5 team, bro.
Yeah, that's the thing. So in the past, they really they really judged people on their worst loss. I think we all remember the Purdue Ohio State game where Rondale
Mhm.
Moore was a freshman and just lit them up. Pretty sure you still can't say Rondale Moore in Columbus right now without getting at least a ticket. So
Right.
I remember that game, and that was a situation where that single game kept them out of the playoff because it was very obvious that it was what were you at your absolute worst, and that's what they were at their absolute worst. So it's interesting that they've kind of pivoted a bit because yeah, Oregon has the head to head against Ohio State, but Ohio State has looked better. Ohio State, that's their only loss, and their only loss is to allegedly a top five team. And Oregon's loss was to a 3-5 team, not a top five, a 3-5 team.
3-5,
Like
3-5.
that has to matter. And then I think what's interesting is I think Cincinnati has found their ceiling. They need a ton of chaos ahead of them to move up.
Yeah.
Um, I think really it's the thing that bugs me is always looking at the bottom of the polls because that's where you find your agendas is at the bottom of the polls. Okay, so like Mississippi State, for example.
Yeah.
Mississippi State is not a good team.
5 and 3.
They're unranked in the coaches poll. They're 5 and
And
3. They're unranked in the AP poll, and yet they're 17th in the playoff poll. Now, why would that matter, right? Mississippi State comes up. Well, A&M, you can get them up to 14. Who did A&M beat? Right? They beat Bama. So Bama's loss is not to unranked A&M. It's to 14th ranked A&M. Why is A&M ranked 14th? Because they lost to unranked Mississippi State. The playoff committee says, no, 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 no. They lost to 17th ranked Mississippi State. That's a ranked loss now.
yep.
So that's the issue is you have a Big Ten and SEC heavy committee and you have them ranking teams specifically to be bullet points to the top teams. And that's the issue. And this has always been their issue. They were this way with the bottom of the SEC. They were like this with Clemson back in the day as well. They would put all their conference opponents right between that kind of 15 to 25 range, and they would justify everything above it based off that. When but nobody looks down there because they're always worried. The graphic all year is who's
Yeah.
in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down here, first two out. But every single advertisement says those four, who's in, and they cycle the teams through every bit of advertising they do. But really, where they sneak everything in and out are those 15 to 25, and that's how they justify it. And that's my biggest issue, because what did everybody else say? Oh man, dude, A&M has an unranked loss. A&M was just coming off their unranked loss to Mississippi State. Now all of a sudden, in one foul swoop, in one meeting, everybody in that scenario is ranked, making Alabama look like, oh, they just lost a tough one on the road. Saying, Mississippi State won a big one on the road, whatever. So that's my problem with it.
Yeah.
Although it's interesting because I do 100%, I've tweeted about this ad nausea, but I believe that we still control our destiny 100%. We
Yeah.
went out and we're in. We have four ranked games left to play, assuming nobody shits the bed. So we've got 3 ranked teams, 2 of them on the road, and then 1 of them in a championship game. So what's interesting is you have teams out there like Auburn that could theoretically go through, and they still have to play Alabama. They still have to play A&M, which that game's this weekend. So if they play A&M, they're 14th. They beat 14. They play Alabama, they beat number 2. And then if they were to go to the SEC championship, they beat number 1. I mean, how do you keep that team out of the playoff? You sit back and you say, oh, well, they're a 2-loss team. But if they go 14 on the road, 2 and 1, I mean, how would you not say, right, they're one of the best teams in college football? So there's a lot of interesting dynamics when it comes to things like that, because if Auburn wins one of those games, even Alabama or anything like that, then that could throw a wrench in things. The Big Ten, Ohio State still has to play Michigan. They've still got to play Michigan State.
Yep.
You've got those kind of 3. There's definitely – we didn't have chaos in September and then chaos in October to now get here to November and be like, going to be all chalk. Here we go.
Yeah.
Because it never is. It never is all chalk. It's
Yeah.
interesting because every week we say, oh, this weekend's going to be, oh man, there's no really good games or anything like that. But
It happens.
every weekend there's something crazy happens. So that's what's interesting. And a lot of teams are having the opposite effect of what OU has. OU is going to be at its healthiest that it's been all year against Baylor likely. So against Baylor likely, if not, then against Iowa State. So that's where every other team is piling up injuries, season ending, this, that, or the other. I mean, heck, Theo Weiss broke his foot, and he's going to likely be back before the end of the season. Like, stuff like that. Like, all the other contenders, man, if they break their foot, like, they ain't coming back till next year. Maybe a bowl or something like that. So it's almost a blessing in disguise that we lost so early. We lost guys so early. So now we're getting healthy at the right time. When we play Baylor, we're going to be one of the healthiest teams in the country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you look at stuff like that, that is, I mean, and to all the people that we're talking about, because I was one that said, hey, man, we've got this many defensive backs injured. We got this many defensive backs injured. We got this many defenders injured. Everybody's like, well, that's no excuse. You should beat Kansas by 100. I get it. Kansas is bad. We should have won that game. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses for Kansas. I had talked about that previously. Just because I say that, hey, there are reasons that we maybe didn't play so well against Kansas, that's not me saying that I think we did a great job against Kansas. So don't equate those two. So with that, all of a sudden we get I mean, it's no coincidence that we all of a sudden get Mario Williams back. He shows out. We get Jalen Redmond back. IT is able to move to his more natural position, his correct position. They ball out. Delarian Turner-Yell balls out. I mean, it's just crazy. When you get really good players back, your team gets better. Unless that player is Odell Beckham Jr. Because then your team gets worse somehow. We haven't quite figured that one out. But unless your player is Odell Beckham Jr., then yes, your good players coming back will make your team better. It's funny how that works. And Grinch can get so much more committed to his scheme of being aggressive, of being that speed D. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what he's built it on. But he was forced into playing a soft zone because he didn't have the depth to back it up.
they definitely look more fast. I would say that against Texas Tech more than we've seen in a
Key
while.
Lawrence looked good. That guy ain't coming off the field.
He did. Yeah, right. Hey, we didn't forget the people that was talking about they putting Key Lawrence at corner
Hey, but most of
during
those people did
practice.
fess up. Most of
What?
those people
I know
were like, "Look,
they did.
I'm
They
glad I
did.
was
This
wrong."
that was wrong, and that's what we were saying. Was like, bro, like I mean, at this point, you might as well try if he's playing
We
well
have to
at,
lose.
at safety, and if he runs fast, which clearly they think he can handle it, then let him happen, and it did. Yeah, bro. I mean, I'm on the same tail with you with the committee. For me, if we're gonna be so subjective, you, you might as well just. I mean, and again, maybe it's going this way anyway. You might as well just have the 12-team playoff like next year because then you get the subjectivity as well as the people that deserve to be there. Like for me, it should be if you're undefeated, especially if you're an undefeated Power Five team,
Yeah. If
you
you're an
should
undefeated Power Five champion, it should be an auto bid.
it's auto bid. But even now, like you should. I feel like Oklahoma and maybe Wake Forest to a lesser extent, but Oklahoma Wake Forest started like unranked in the AP poll. I get people who don't like preseason rankings and it should, but let's not act like it doesn't affect things. It does. We're
Of course it
number
does. I
two.
mean, you're talking about uh, when specifically talking about Alabama. We didn't even mention the Florida game. Florida is terrible. Like Florida's real bad. Um,
Not 2
and
points.
they were a 2 point conversion away from tying and then maybe beating Alabama. They gave Alabama everything they could handle. But at the time, everybody, I think Colin Cowherd's talking about everybody. Oh well, that was a different Florida team, man. That was a good Florida team. No, it's not.
No, it's
They
not.
were a good Florida team because the preseason rankings said they were a good Florida team. So that's where I get annoyed with it. Is yeah, you got Florida, the big brand, and everything like that. But I'm sorry, the Florida win or quality win,
Yeah,
uh, you know, is not. That's Florida's bad. Dan Mullen's
yeah,
about to get fired. Todd
yeah,
Grantham's definitely going to get fired.
yeah,
But I would not be shocked if Dan, didn't go right up behind him. But that's the thing with the playoff committee. I think we kind of got what we earned. I wasn't expecting it, but I could make a case for almost every team ahead of us from a play on the field. I hate the
sure.
term eye test because it's not measurable, but
I guess.
I could see it. But we've made 4 playoffs, correct?
Yep.
So we have not been in the initial first 4 in the initial rankings ever. We've
Yeah.
always started lower. So, and then we've never lost. We haven't lost a November game in 14 tries. We're 14-0, and I think that's since Lincoln Riley became offensive coordinator. We have not lost a game in November. That's me knocking on wood. But at the same time, there's a reason for that. OU's always rising after the initial rankings.
Yeah.
Always. I mean, we started as low as 15 and we got in.
Yeah.
So when you say 8 and you see some teams that have still yet to play each other above us, okay, cool, cannibalize, go for it.
Yeah.
I mean, and and it's times like these that I wish that the SEC actually pitted their top dogs against each other. No pun
Yeah.
intended on dogs, because Georgia and Alabama aren't going to play each other in the middle of the season, like ever,
Whatever.
because they're always going to be meeting in the SEC championship, and that's what's different about the Big 12 is look, you got to play everybody.
Yeah.
You
Play
can't
everybody.
dodge. You can't dodge the other side and then maybe get one crack at them. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's
And look, we're 9-0, right? And the biggest piece too for me, and I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, was just like I just feel like they said I don't know if they set themselves up for success because can they cannibalize? Yes. However, the way I would have done it is give those teams that have won the benefit of the doubt. Like, especially like when you consider this year and that there has been so many teams that are just been losing to unranked teams left and right. That's where I'm like, yo, even though we barely been winning, we have not lost. We have not faltered, right? And so I feel like there should be a reward for that. And if you think that low of us, like if we lose, then drop us like a rock, right? If that's what you think, it's gonna happen anyway, in my opinion. And then if you want to compare us to a one loss Ohio State, Alabama, and we have one loss, there's no comparison. Like I understand that. There's no comparison.
Yeah.
Put them up ahead of us. But now it's like you've already set the precedent. We're so far down below. Even if we went out, now you're just going to jump us above them, even though it looks like you valued them above us in the first place. Because what if they went out too? Then what
Yeah,
are you going to say? So that's
I
why
mean
I'm
that's
just like, why didn't we just put Oklahoma first, and then if you thought they were going to lose, we would drop it. If they won and ended up undefeated, as an undefeated Power Five champ, they're in the top three. It makes sense, right? There has to be. There's not going to be any shuffling. And again, it's entertainment. It's
yeah, that's
pageantry.
that's exactly
Yeah,
what I was about to say.
it
I
doesn't
was
mean
like,
anything.
it is an hour-long special. You don't need an hour to release the rankings. It is pure
Yeah,
entertainment.
yeah,
It is pure entertainment, and it's although kind of to Monty's point, it's very much you see on you saw on Twitter immediately after. I probably saw 15 players tweet like bet,
yeah,
like we'll see,
yeah.
and it was just I mean we got it from everybody. So
Yeah.
it's one thing like I said, we've seen it year in and year out. I'm heavily confident going into November, playing these three teams, coming off of a bye, getting healthy, getting Caleb another week of some reps and getting him more comfortable with the offense, things like that. But like it's we've not played that well, but found a way to win. And you play to win the game.
Play to win the game.
Herm
Speaking,
Edwards.
speaking of the young man, Caleb Williams, obviously, he passed for 6 touchdowns on Saturday. Was just, I mean, he showed his arm off, right? We've seen the electrifying runs. It's not that we haven't seen his arm talent, but I think Saturday, he showed that he's every bit of the best quarterback in the country, especially when it comes to his arm talent. I mean, I don't know if I would put. I mean, C.J. Stroud got a nice arm. Bryce Young got a nice arm. Don't get me wrong. But as far as just a combination of everything, all the tools he has, there's not another quarterback like him in the nation. And the fact that he's a true freshman in his fourth game is nuts. These are his current stats right now. He's got just over 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns, 270% complete percentage. And keep in mind, this is in basically what 3.5, 4 games that
Yeah.
he's done this. And Spencer had what do you have? Did he have 10 touchdowns to 5 interceptions? Is that what it was? Was that his stat line?
Nah,
Texas team?
I forget. I forget. I haven't looked up his stats in a couple weeks. If I do, but with Caleb, what I was just really impressed with his ability to drive the ball. Obviously, he keeps his eyes downfield. He's a threat to run, so he freezes those linebackers. That throw to the backside to Braden Willis, where it went through the dude's arms. Now
Oh,
that could be said. That could be said where you're like, well, that's a bad throw because if that defender just closes his arms, then it's picked. You know what I mean? But he didn't, and it went right through and it looked like a Hollywood move, man. It went right through his arms, man.
yeah.
But that kind of stuff, what and it's hard to you don't want to nitpick, right? But when players are this good, you end up nitpicking because they're expected to be perfect, right?
Yeah.
So I think we saw in Texas, we saw a lot of 50-50 balls go our way, right? Marvin Mims came down with a couple of them, right? It's it's the next game against what Kansas was it? No, Kansas State,
TCU.
TCU. Yeah, sorry, I'm getting my schedule mixed up. TCU. He's trying the same throws. It doesn't go that way, right? He's throwing them up. They're 50-50 balls. Maybe they're a little underthrown. Maybe they're a little overthrown. That's the thing. I don't want it to get into a situation where, oh, well, he threw 50-50 balls against Texas. They all worked. He threw 50-50 balls against TCU. It didn't work. 50-50 balls against Kansas in the first half. It didn't work. And then he goes into Tech and he threads it through a guy's arms.
Yeah.
So it's just those little, a couple inches here, a couple inches there. It's interesting. So I hope, and that's one thing I think a lot of people are getting onto Lincoln about um, about not giving Caleb a ton of credit and not praising him and not this, that, and the other. Well, I think Lincoln knows what he's doing, but I also think Lincoln Lincoln sees those throws and he's like, "Whew, you can't count on throwing it through a defensive back's arms every time."
Mm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So, I
And
mean, I couldn't be happier with our quarterback room right now.
yeah.
Spencer came out and dropped a dime to Brian Darby, one of the better throws probably of his career, and that's hard to do. Come in cold and just let it rip right there, and it was really cool to see the team
Yeah.
and the fans and everything just be so supportive of him and whatnot. That was really really cool. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. That
but
was
yeah, I
dope.
mean, we got the best quarterback room in the country, that's for sure.
It's not even close. I will say, Kev, I think I watched the first of all, if y'all Radman Niven, the man who does runs the
Dude.
videos for Oklahoma footballs, that man is different. Like don't get me wrong, I miss Zach. I do. He was great. Okay, but I don't know.
Zach's just different. Zach's a very, how do I put this? He's a big thinker.
Yeah.
When it comes to the campaigns and stuff like that, jumping out of helicopters and the
Yes.
records and all kinds of stuff like that. Like
Yes.
like whereas Radman, you've got just from the camera side of things, and he's Theron. He's getting a couple other guys helping out, whatnot. But I think we're very much seeing a situation where we're going from, you know, Baker to Kyler or something like that. We're
Yeah.
just doing it with
Yeah.
media guys instead of
Yeah.
quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
'Cause he's
it's like
lying.
we can we can we can sit and compare them,
Yeah.
but it's like they're both fantastic. But yeah, Radman's been in his bag. There's no doubt.
Yeah. No, he ran his back. But I was just gonna say the one video, I feel like it slows it down so that we see it go through the defender's arms because I feel like how, the how hard he threw that ball. I don't
Oh, of
know if the
course.
defender could have reacted even enough to. Obviously, when it slows it down, it looks like he could have. When I watch it in real time, like because I saw the same thing, but when I watch it in real time, I'm like, man, I don't know, like the way he rocketed it through there, like it would have.
He rocketed it through, but there's not a single quarterback coach in the country or quarterback will
That's
tell you it is
that's
a
fair
good idea to try and split the
because
arms of the defender.
it could have got
I
tipped.
mean,
I mean, even at
but you're
worst, he
off
was.
either way. You're on
Yeah,
the run and you're throwing either
yeah,
way. I mean, there's not a quarterback or coach, head coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback group that'll be like, the right throw there is definitely to try and just
yeah,
just right through his arms. And and
yeah,
and and Caleb's rocket is what made it happen.
yeah.
It still doesn't mean that I want him to always aim in between
Sure,
defenders' arms.
that makes sense. I completely agree. I think sometimes with that stuff, you just chalk it up to man. That's a great play that not everybody can make.
Man,
I always
man,
think
been
of
living right.
I think
Man, been
about
living right. I mean,
um, Steve Kerr, like when Steve Kerr talks about Steph Curry and like some of the shots he hits, like it's a good shot. I would probably say we probably should not take that shot, but Steph Curry's hitting those type of shots. You know what I mean? And so I feel
yeah.
like it could be the same type of thing. But he's a young quarterback. I know Lincoln's walking him through that. But again, just even that fact that he's in his fourth game, like you said, we're just nitpicking. He's in his
Well, and
fourth
that's
game.
and that's why I tried to preface it with, look, I'm extremely happy with Caleb. He's
Yeah,
fantastic, but this is what you get.
yeah.
This is what you get because of how good you are. We're not.
Mhm.
We wouldn't do this with Spencer Sanders. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's no OSU pod tonight that's going, oh man, what little things do you think we can? What singular throw
yeah,
that was a touchdown could have been better. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy to do, but when you are at this standard, that's you know that's
Yeah,
what that comes with the territory.
yeah, 100% agree, man. Hey, let's talk about what's going on down there in Austin, Texas. Um,
Uh,
man, Trav, just tell us your snapshot. Just if you give us a snapshot of when you heard about this whole monkey situation, and then even talk about maybe I don't know. You saw that Joshua Moore and Sarkeesian got into it at practice
yeah,
today?
yeah.
That?
Former
Yeah.
former Texas wide receiver Joshua Moore.
What is
Yeah,
going
so
on?
I was cooking. I was cooking on Monday night. I was helping out at Trey's, and I was closing. And all of a sudden, I was listening to the Dave Chappelle special just on my AirPods while I was working, and then just later, I I check out Twitter, and it's like all I see was like monkey emojis. And then one of my guys texts me from um, one of my guys texts me, the CFB Talk Daily guy. Texts me, he's like, "Dog, you got to check this out." And he put the Reddit link up, and it was about Jeff Banks and Pole Assassin. And I already knew about this. So I was like, oh, it's pretty crazy. But then I didn't realize what he was talking about was the trick or treater. I was like, oh shit, because I didn't realize, like I said earlier, not a lot of a lot of us knew about Pole Assassin and Jeff Banks, but this just brought it to the limelight. And
Right.
the problem is these kind of things you can get by with if you're winning, like to not distract the program. Like everybody laughs about it and whatnot, but problem is Jeff Banks is known for his recruiting. Like he's a big time recruiter. That's why they hired him at Texas. It's not because of special teams, because well, y'all saw that fake punt execution. But it's he is a recruiter. A lot of people know him to be the bagman type, bit of a dirty recruiter, whatever. But it's it's just funny because if he's your recruiter and he's coming into your house, and now it is national news in the sports world that because the monkey thing is one thing that everybody found out, girl's monkey bit a kid. That's easy to explain away if to a family if you didn't leave your wife and 4 kids to go marry that stripper. That's where parents might be like, you're you're supposed to you're supposed to take care of my son when he's
Yeah.
going, hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away in some case, and I'm supposed to trust you with my son, but you walked out on your own kids and wife to run off with a stripper. So, like, and that's where, like I said, those are the questions that start to happen. And now you're losing all you're losing every second half. You're blowing leads left and right to anybody and everybody who wants anything in the fourth quarter. You're giving it to them. But I just, man, with you had a linebacker transfer today, you had the wide receiver you kicked off the team. You had, and to be honest, Texas just doesn't have the talent right now to do that. I mean, this is their second linebacker they've lost.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I think they're both from the same high school, but the second linebacker they've lost. One transferred out to USC, and they aren't putting enough on tape. And much like the recruiting, they've been landing some big time guys, but it's it's a situation where I don't trust their ability to close because we see this happen with each year Texas gets a new coach, which seems like every other year, right? So they always get that new coach pop. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, it's exciting what's going on at Texas, man. They got this new guy, man. He's going to change everything. He's going to run Alabama's offense. The problem is you don't have Alabama's players.
Yeah.
So he's going to do all this, he's going to do all that. So you get that new coach, that new car smell, right? It's
Yep.
really easy to sell because you're selling hypotheticals. And they can't say, oh, well, coach, you screwed this up or you screwed that up. So I'm not going to trust you to do this because he hasn't done anything there yet. So he can bloviate about, all of his hopes and dreams and what his plans are and everything like that. But then when you go and get smacked by Arkansas and then you blow 3 other second half leads,
Yep.
then all those recruits are like, ooh, there's only so much of the spin where you can say, hey, man, we're so close, man. If only we had you, we would have won that game. We would have held on to that lead. There's
Right.
only so many times you can say that. You could have said that with OU Texas
Yeah.
because it was so close and it seemed to be an outlier at the time. But now that it's become a pattern, now it's an indictment on Sark specifically. So, yeah, I don't know. I got asked today by a national guy and was like, so do you think Sark makes it out of the season? I was like, dude, they have to. Texas ain't gonna let him go. I mean, they could go 500. They're not gonna let him go. I mean, it would be admitting that they were wrong immediately.
Yeah.
Unless some sanctions come down, unless they get caught paying kids, unless unless another kid gets bit, or whatever. Like Sark can't go anywhere. I don't think he's gonna win a lot of games until he gets about 5 other Xavier Worthies on that offense. But
Yeah.
there's not many Xavier
Yeah.
Worthies out there.
I don't think they need to freak out. I mean, you're 4-4. I mean, and we try to tell them that they didn't want to listen. And again, I think you may have to look at, is it concerning that we blew so many second half leads? But you still got to give the guy time. I mean, I 100% agree with that. Now, you never know. Monty even was talking about in the chat about the boosters. And let me take a break from talking about Texas just to say this, because I've been seeing this going down the comment section. If Oklahoma goes undefeated, they're getting in the college football playoff. Like there's no
They control their own destiny. They control their own destiny. If they win, they're in.
And if we don't, like all hell will freeze over, bro. Like Oklahoma is a blue blood school. If we go undefeated, we are in the college football playoff. It doesn't matter.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Like, so stop saying that we're gonna miss out, or there's not a chance in hell. I'm telling you right now, because if that happens, I'm going down to I live in Indianapolis, right? The headquarters of NCAA is downtown. I know exactly where it is. I've been there like a million times. I will break their windows. No, but for real, like this.
And the thing is, if you do, they won't. If you do, they won't have to wonder where it came from because it'll be so obvious what they did. They'll be like, "Yep, this is what we get." But that's the thing. They control their own destiny because if they win every game, they are in. That is a guarantee. Everybody that has followed the sport and I'm not even talking about me. You talk about people that have been paid to follow the sport and write about the sport and give their thoughts on the sport. Every single person knows that if OU wins out and they are undefeated, absolutely undefeated, 13-0. Well, yeah, it'd be 13-0. Then they're going to the playoff. There's no argument against it. Any argument against it is just negativity, pessimism, contrarian talk, whatever you want to call it. We do have to win out. Absolutely. Yes. We are not getting in with a loss. But I think we all knew that. I think when the schedule came out, everybody knew that. I think when the schedule came out, everybody said, man, the Big 12 looks a little weak. We don't have the out-of-conference games to really bump us. But that's the thing.
And we have
the out-of-conference games to bump us, so we knew we needed to run a table. If we lose to any other person on our schedule, we'll be out of the playoff. But that's not what it means to control your own destiny. You control your own destiny if you can win every game and still make it in. We are one of the few teams that can say that.
If we had been blowing teams out, then could now that you look at it with the Baylor and Oklahoma State at the end of the schedule, could you have said, if we lose to them but beat them again in the Big 12 championship, like we've done so many times before, and rectified that loss, do we have an opportunity? Sure, but we have not afforded ourselves that with the way we played, and I think that's shown, obviously. So we do definitely, I mean, without a doubt, have to win out. But that brings up This question: who do you think poses the biggest threat down the stretch to end OU's dominance in the Big 12 lately? Out of those three teams, Baylor, Iowa State, Oklahoma State. I know last week we had both kind of agreed on Baylor. I don't know if you feel the same way. If you're still, you think Iowa State could be a trap game in between those two now that they've lost to West Virginia and they're not looking as formidable, or do you think that will be
No,
focused?
I think I don't think we've seen a Lincoln Riley led team that wasn't focused in November. And as many people have alluded to nationally and in the comments and all over Twitter, this is maybe the best thing happened to OU. There's no way they are losing focus down at number 8. There's no way. So Baylor, I'll tell you, after that Texas game, I lean more on the Baylor side. I don't know why. Their defense has some dudes on it. Like, their defense is good. OSU's defense is good as well. I just don't trust Spencer Sanders. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you read the comment too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we're getting in if we're undefeated. We won't enter. I need to ignore all the comments that say, because I'm just going to keep on getting distracted.
It doesn't.
But
Yeah, we're getting.
I do think Baylor is a better team. I'm much more impressed with Dave Aranda than I've ever been with Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Gundy, he's got some good players now. I just don't think I never look at a team and I never look at an OSU team and I think, man, Mike Gundy outcoached. He coached his pants off today, man. He was killing it. Dave Aranda, I look at sometimes and I'm like, man, this guy has specific, especially with OU, he has specific schemes that he runs against Lincoln Riley that have produced results that are better in the past than other people's results. So I just don't think Gundy has any new tricks. I don't think he has anything. I mean, he doesn't have any mental edge against Lincoln. Lincoln, I mean, he's dominated him. He's never beat Lincoln Riley.
Yeah.
And he's struggled to beat anybody with a crimson shirt on. So
Yeah.
I just think that Baylor, and what I like is I think Baylor's our toughest task, but we're getting them off the bye. We're getting them off the bye, and we're going to be well rested, and we're going to be amped, ready to take people's heads off. After these polls came out, and Aranda's a guy I looked at when they were talking about getting rid of the Big 12, and they were like, well, if the Big 12 goes by the way of like G5 or something like that, you have to start looking at some of these Big 12 coaches, whether it be Matt Campbell or Dave Aranda or the TCU coach formerly known as Gary Patterson. I'm a big Aranda guy. I think Campbell, even this year, you're like, Campbell just seems like he's maxed out a little bit, and he's not a recruiting guy at all. I think Aranda. I think kids really like Aranda. I think he can get some good players, especially with his success this year. But I don't know. I'm just not impressed with Matt Campbell. I mean, they brought back so much talent. They brought back. I mean, you should have been able with Brees Hall and Brock Purdy and Charlie Kolar. Just those three guys alone should have been able to carry you, past Iowa. You get a one-loss team.
Yeah.
There should be 3 one-loss teams, at the end of our schedule waiting for us. Iowa State, they're falling apart. So, and not to say they can't, they can't beat us. Any team can beat us. We've shown that, but I do think we end up playing Baylor, and then, I just hope we get out of that one. We get out of that one, I'll be in a great mood going into
And
Iowa.
I would agree that I think Baylor is probably the biggest threat. Now, I'm not. I don't want to say I'm scared about Baylor. Like, if you talk to me like post Kansas, I would have said it. I think after seeing the way we performed last week, after seeing us get, first of all, it's championship November. Second of all, fact that we were number 8 in the poll was lots of fire under them. They're going to be ready. And like as good, and I saw the comment say that Baylor's offense has some special dudes, or in their defense has some really good dudes. And I agree with all that. I think that Bohannon is a good quarterback. I don't think he's great. Again, we've had the propensity to make really good quarterbacks look really, really great too. So we'll just have to see. But I also think defense is good. I think they're really good, but I mean, I'm not ever worried about good defenses against Lincoln Riley, especially the way our offense has looked lately. I think you looked at what happened last year. If you go back to the Baylor game, Spencer, wasn't hitting everything. Maybe he could have hit. He was still very young in his progression, as well as the GT counter that we were playing. I remember watching a breakdown of it, like right after he was just telling his dudes to take our pullers out, and that destroyed our run plays. And we barely ran at all in that game. We didn't have the effect of a quarterback run game like we will with Caleb Williams. So I think that will provide a different element potentially for the Baylor defense to have to work with. And when you talk about deep shots as well, they're going to be aggressive and play up, kind of like Texas Tech did, which I highly doubt. I think they're probably going to go the mold, a lot of teams have done this year by trying to make us earn it and go down the field. And so then obviously, like you said earlier, Trav, we're going to hope that Caleb will just take what the defense gives. It doesn't try to throw those 50-50 balls all the time, that we're going to be able to do that. And I'm sure Lincoln will be in his ear these next 2 weeks, telling him that the importance of it all. But I think we'll come out ready to play. And as scary as it is to play a team twice, I think it's scarier to play a Lincoln Riley led Oklahoma team
Yeah.
twice.
Yeah, it's scary to play. It's scary to play Caleb Williams twice.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas only played him for a half.
Yeah.
And I think he broke them. So, yeah, like I said, I'm excited for the last few games this season. I think offense is completely different, team's completely different. We're getting healthy, and should be getting Theo back, which is crazy. Should be getting Woody back soon. But other than that, I mean, we could be getting Cody Jackson back. It's just a long list of players that are going to come back, and we're going to get a whole heck of a lot healthier very quickly, and that matters. Matters big time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I'll tell you what, man. Old Caleb's been behind the scenes recruiting his own guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's the nice thing about having a guy that's so well liked nationally.
Yeah.
And a guy that went around to all the different camps and whatnot. I know it was COVID, but he still had camps. He still had things he had to perform at, and growing up as well. But he knows all these guys, and I can tell you, we've got some guys transferring in that you're going to learn about that will be very exciting. So, but the coaches can't do anything, but with Caleb, there's no rules that he can't talk to players on other teams,
Yeah.
and he gets that. He gets that. So that's why I think people are happy now with recruiting. This team building that Caleb's doing is pretty crazy. I mean, do you think it's a coincidence that Nick Anderson turns around and flips his recruitment from Oregon to Oklahoma?
Right.
The timing of that. I mean, it's kind of interesting because he was solid with Oregon. A lot of people thought that he was going to be one of the leaders of that class. So with him coming in, and originally he was like, man, they don't have any room for me. They're full. So he was sticking with Oregon. Then we get all the guys that leave, and then we get all the guys that leave, and all of a sudden we got room. But then he's like,
Yeah.
well, we don't have room for you, or you've got room for you now. We got a scholarship for you. And then he's a little Chris McClellan style of, well, if you didn't want me, then, why you gotta? Oh no, we still want you. But he watches Caleb. All of a sudden, I'll keep it in the family. I'll go back to OU, and
Right.
he's good. 6'3.5". I mean, he's big. He's strong. He's fast. He's rangy. It's gonna be a good addition to that
I
squad, and
agree.
then we'll get a couple wide receivers coming in through the portal, and then that 2023 class, man, just crazy. I mean, Roy Manning was tweeting about it. Um, yeah, it's good. The 2023 class is gonna be silly.
Yeah. And I
I'll be there. I'll be there watching Micah and Gentry this Friday.
oh
Bixby's
yeah.
playing Booker T. Yeah, so I'm gonna go down there. Grinch is gonna be there. I think Drum's gonna be there, and
Yeah.
then I'll be there with Dwight Dobbins, who trains Gentry and Micah and all those guys. So I'll be down on the field, getting my front row seat because man, Micah, whew, that boy should be a 5-star.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good. He's real good. So it'll be interesting. He'll take his visits and whatnot, but Miles came down to Gentry's recruitment. So Miles and Gentry and Micah were all down there. It was pretty cool.
It's dope. Yeah. I mean, and I don't think it's, and you can probably speak more of this obviously than me, but I don't think it's lost that you could see from the wide receiver room. I think Jaden, Theo, yeah, really those two will be the ones you were looking at could have been or are draft eligible. I think reasonably they could return.
Yeah,
Jaden's had a better year lately. I think he could go and get drafted. Theo, I'm not sure because he hasn't played the whole year. I think he probably wants another year of film and tape, I would say. But I could think you could see both of those guys return. Now Drake Stoops could go.
yeah, he's gonna play for 10 years for the Patriots.
Yeah,
But yeah, Mike Woods will go.
yeah, he's done.
Um, we're not out on Chris McClellan. No, not at all. Um, and yeah, money. Ain't nobody got anything for Bixby. Bixby's so good. They're so good. When I was there for Gentry's commitment, uh, coach was trying to get all the guys in the locker room because everybody wanted to hang around and uh, shake hands with Gentry and take pictures with them because all the reporters were there and everybody, you know, that's how everybody is when you get cameras around and whatnot, right? High school
Yeah,
especially. So they're like, oh, we're gonna. His coach is like, get in the locker room, blah blah blah. Brandon goes, hey man, you got Ponca City this week. You calm down. I think it was Ponca City. And Coach Brown was like, no man, we got Bixby every week. Got Bixby every week. Got to get ready for Bixby. So it's
yeah,
kind of interesting to hear Coach talk like that. It was pretty cool. But yeah, it's um, watch your mouth about Odell Beckham. Oof,
ooh,
I don't know about that.
ooh.
Oh, is that LeBron? Is that LeBron? Oh, is that John Morant or is that his daddy
Um,
coming to fight his
I don't
battles?
know, maybe, but that brings up a good talking point that we were gonna get to.
There you go.
Is it an OBJ problem in Cleveland? Or are they simply just wasting his talent? We got people on both sides of this argument. I think potentially.
I'm just I'm a simple analytics guy. I just think you look at the numbers. Every other wide receiver he throws to, you got a higher passer rating to. OBJ is the lowest. When OBJ is not there, the team wins more. Tell Baker to throw him the ball. Okay, so OBJ leads the Browns in targets,
He does.
and he's
That's
also missed 2 games.
that's also facts.
So to say that Baker needs to throw him the ball, even though he leads the team in targets despite missing 2 games, it seems like he's throwing him the ball. That's what the statistics would say.
It's because of the 11
Um,
minute video. I mean,
so
people watch that thing and they think, oh, just because somebody's open, they're not taking into account progressions. Now, I will say, are there moments where Baker has missed OBJ and he could have thrown on the ball? Yes, there are. That like it's okay to say that, and I think that other quarterbacks have missed receivers too. Like it happens.
Well, and here,
Can you
and
say that he's intentionally not throwing him the ball? No, not at
yeah,
all. Like, no, absolutely not. Right? I think OBJ still has some stuff left in the tank. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like he still does. I just don't think him and Baker are working on the field. And I think they're fine off the field. Like they were fine the entire offseason. Like they literally spent a
yeah.
month together. Like
And
they
and here's the thing. It's not that I don't like Odell. It's not that I have anything personally wrong with him or anything. It's just it's obvious that it's not working. I don't
yeah,
understand why everybody's got, oh man, it's Baker's screwing up, man. Baker's screwing up. No, it's just not working. Baker threw 22 touchdowns to 2 picks when OBJ was out last year?
yeah,
That's pretty good. When he's in, they've got a losing record. Cleveland's got a losing record when Odell Beckham Jr. plays, but all of a sudden, when he doesn't play, they win a playoff game.
yeah,
Baker looks incredible, and it's okay. Sometimes they just don't fit. It's fine. I mean, that's what uh, Belichick always said. He's like, I'm not drafting. I'm not just trying to buy a bunch of players. I'm trying to build a team. I think it was Belichick. Don't quote me on that. I believe it was. Um, and oh god, but it's it's a situation where OBJ is just not good for the team. There's no metric that says OBJ is good for the team. Not a single one. So in an era where all we care about, right? Everything's moving towards analytics, right? Well, the analytics say that Cleveland is worth with Odell Beckham Jr. Now, there's a million different ways you could try and cut it, right? You could say, "Oh man, it's because Baker did this, or it's because OBJ didn't do that. It's because he's not practicing with him. He's not doing this, that, or the other. He's doing." There could be a million contributing factors. All that matters is the results. What matters is Cleveland is worse with Odell Beckham Jr. Baker Mayfield is better without Odell Beckham Jr. So
yeah.
what more is there to talk about? Just get him out of there. The only
And I
reason that I think they shouldn't cut him right away is, I mean, they'd still have to pay him. And you don't want to pay a guy that's on your team by cutting him and it's, dead cap, whatnot.
yeah,
And you don't want to trade him to another or you don't want an AFC team to pick him up off waivers. And then it's just
yeah.
the whole situation's
It's a mess. And I
messed
feel
up.
like there's been so many factors too. Like they didn't have like they had one full year together really, and that was 2019 Freddie Kitchens. I mean, and even then, like OBJ had like he only had like 4 or 5 touchdowns, but he had over 1,000. That was reasonable. And then Kevin Stefanski comes in. They're still learning things. I mean, it was okay through the first couple games. Then he tears his ACL. Then he comes back. He's not back for the first 2 games this year. Baker gets hurt. The offensive line is not nearly what it was last year. Has it been decent? Yeah. Is it anywhere near the top of the league like it was last year? No, because Baker's been sacked through 8 weeks, almost as much as he was all year last year. So
Yeah.
like there are a lot of factors that go into it too that I feel like people are just not considering, and they're just looking from it. Like obviously you can say analytics, which is absolutely true, but then other people are looking from it just watching a broadcast television and saying, "Oh, well, this is not happening." And it's like, yes, there's a lot of factors there. Also, Kevin Stefanski, like he's not the type that's going to say, "I'm going to get this receiver the ball." It's a run first. Well, it's he says it's a pass first offense, but it's predicated off the run, right? And so it's looking to spread the ball around to the open guy. Baker has progressions he has to go through. All that stuff accumulates to one thing. And OBJ is just not like, yes, he wants to win, but he's just not the guy that like is going to sit and be a part of a team like that for so long, especially when he's not consistently performing. Like if he had been doing some things or catching the ball a little bit, maybe it would have been more quiet. Maybe, but he's not being featured, and I think that's what the crux of this all is. Because it's not like they're going to miss the playoffs. They're 4-4. They can still be in the thick of things.
Yeah, they're
Everything.
a game and a half out. Like they're a game and a half out of first place now.
So
Like,
so then like where is this all coming from? Like, do you
well,
need to go to a
and
team where you're
and it
featured?
came out. and it came out of no. I mean, it feels like it came out of nowhere. I know the trade deadline's coming up, and I know like it turns into this all of a sudden. Oh well, he's coming off injury. He dropped the ball. I just don't know what was the single just, hey, we got a problem here. To where Baker's asked 10 questions about it today about, hey, did you see the 11-minute video that your teammate's dad made about you on some creepy, I mean, just, hey, he made this video about you. So basically, you and Odell will never play again together. So, because I've made it irreparable.
Yep.
So, and Baker even said, he goes, man, I've had talks with his dad. Like, I've talked to him before, man to man, face to
Mhm.
face. He's like, so, if he wants to talk about it.
We can talk.
So, like, but that's the thing. It's done now, and this isn't helping Odell Beckham. I mean,
Nope.
I put up a tweet like Odell Beckham. When you look through his, um, yeah, I know it's coming and going, but up from the cutting opportunities and whatnot. But it's it's he's known for the yacht incident, right, where everybody went and took pictures out with Trey Songz and Braxton Miller and everybody before a playoff game, all in Tim's on a boat. And then you've got him getting in a fight with a kicking net. And then you got him injured again. And then you got him wearing a $350,000 watch in a game. And then you've got the catch, which is still, I think, the best catch in NFL history. But it's a situation where you're like, dude, you're now known for so much more than just playing. Just play football. And but he's a fashion icon. He's a guy. He's friends with Drake. He's in the videos. He's buds with LeBron and John Morant sticking up for him. All this stuff. Like that's at the end, it's a circus, man. It's an absolute circus. He doesn't want to be in Cleveland. He's said so in the past. So that's where I'm like, just get him out of there. He doesn't want to be there. You guys don't want him there. So either cut him or just sit him and say, hey, you're on the IR because you're injured. So
Yep. Well, I couldn't agree, and like Baker said, and handled it great today with the questions. They're focused on the Bengals and moving forward, and hopefully they have a great game this weekend and are able to get back in their division race. Hey guys, we're about to head out here. We're trying to keep it lower. We've been going hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, especially with guests on the show, which is great. But we want to respect both of our times and your time. We appreciate you guys being out here with us. Trav, you got anything to say before we head out?
I don't think so. I mean, I just can't wait to see what the rest of the week has in store. I mean,
Yeah,
we've had all kinds of content
we're
to
only
talk
halfway through.
about on a bye week. So
Yeah.
um, it'll be interesting, man. I'll be watching with a bunch of the OU guys that are coming to town. I know Pat Fields is coming to town. We'll probably get Jordan Kelly and LaRon Stokes and Isaiah Thomas and a bunch of those guys are going to come through watch some football. I think it Trey's on Saturday. Um, I think I've been talking to Pat about it, but yeah, so that ought to be fun. I think some recruits might come and stuff like that. So it'll be fun. So looking forward to a good relaxing bye week where we can just it's kind of like an 11 a.m. game, right? It's kind of like you take care of your own business and then you can sit back and try and watch everybody else kind of fall off.
Yeah.
Now we get to do it right from the beginning of the 11 o'clock games. We can get right out of game day and right out of big noon kickoff and say, all right, everybody lose.
Yep. Yeah. We'll
So
be rooting for people to take some L's this weekend for sure.
yep, hopefully a lot of cold weather games with rain and mud, and hopefully it's weird. It throws people off. There's no high flying offenses. You never know what happens. Never know. But I appreciate everybody being in here, continuing your support and engagement. First and foremost, love the engagement, love the conversations. So keep it up. We appreciate it. Subscribe to Andy's page, and yeah, and then follow me on Twitter if you're not. My handle's right there. Very easy to see. I think I'm creeping up. I think I'm about 20 shy of 6,200. I'd love to hit
Ooh.
that before we take on Baylor. I don't know. You never know. You never know. So
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of my Cleveland followers dipped on me this week. So We'll see. Maybe I'll get him. Maybe I'll get him back once we can all
Maybe.
focus just on Baker moving forward. We'll see. We'll see. But all right, guys. You got anything you want to say?
Yeah, thanks guys again. Please subscribe to the channel. I'm probably about 15 shy of 600 subscribers. So get the word out there. Get people coming to the channel these Wednesday night things, and obviously I have a couple more content. I do reactions after games, and once my season slow down kind of during the break because I'm an athletic director, so I'm busy a lot. I don't have time to make content every day, unfortunately, but I'll be putting out a little bit more stuff. But subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you guys being here every Wednesday. We love doing it. Have loved the engagement, like Trav said. Hey, one thing to continue to do, just make sure you're liking, the broadcast when we do them. Like the page, or specifically the video, because it'll drive up the actual video, and people actually get to see it easier. People can click on it as well, even after that. So once we end the broadcast, it'll be more easier seen if you have liked it more. YouTube algorithm type stuff. So appreciate you guys as always. Have a great night, Trav. You have a great night, bro. We'll talk soon.
No doubt. No doubt. I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow about the next
Yeah,
crazy college football story.
I'm sure something's gonna come out. So
Absolutely. All right. See you guys.
boomer.